Windsor Castle, an official residence of our sovereign and the largest occupied castle in the world. A royal home and fortress encapsulating nearly 1,000 years of British history, the castle, founded by William the Conqueror, remains an integral working palace today. Often used by the Queen to host state visits from overseas foreign heads of state, monarchs and presidents enter the castle in horse-drawn carriages through the George IV gateway into the quadrangle in the Upper Ward. And for only a few days a year, it provides a similar welcome when the gates are open to recipients and their guests to receive their honour at the investiture ceremony. Windsor Castle is a hugely popular visitor attraction, with several thousands of people exploring each day the many parts of the castle which are open to the public, including the precincts, the state apartments, Queen Mary's Doll's House, St George's Chapel and the Albert Memorial Chapel. But very few get this special invitation. The administrative process behind these invitations is conducted at the Central Chancery of the Orders of Knighthood at St James's Palace. It is part of the Lord Chamberlain's office and is responsible for governing the orders of chivalry and maintaining the records of all appointments, promotions and deaths within each order. They also take the lead in organising investitures and the sending out of invitations, together with warrants signed by the Queen.
How many have we got then for tomorrow, Rachel?
We were 95 people coming today, but I'm afraid we've lost one. Mr Mason has gone into hospital, and so we're down to 94.
94. And how many guests now, do you think?
279 guests.
279.
One gentleman is apparently slightly deaf, but I think he wears a hearing aid.
He's got a hearing aid, and there's no need for a sign language interpreter, is there?
No, not this time.
No.
No.
Well, I think that's it. I think we've covered all the points now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Following the compilation of the New Year and the Queen's birthday honours lists, the details of the awards are first checked against records held by the Central Chancery before being sent for publication in the London Gazette. When the various insignia arrive from the manufacturers, each decoration is very carefully scrutinised for blemishes and then stored in the Central Chancery's vaults to await its recipient. At 8 o'clock in the morning, the Berkshire town of Windsor is already alive to another working day, and for the select 100 or so men and women who are anxiously making their way to the castle, it's the culmination of many weeks of preparation. It's the day of their investiture at Windsor Castle. Preparations at the castle are well underway. Everything in the staterooms, including the Waterloo Chamber, scene of many state and official occasions, and where today's investiture will take place, are given detailed and careful attention. As the gates of Windsor Castle are open to the recipients and their guests, up in the Waterloo Chamber, final checks are being made by the Secretary of the Central Chancery of the Orders of Knighthood, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Matheson. Adjoining the Waterloo Chamber, and where today's recipients will proceed before entering the chamber to collect their award, is the Garter Throne Room, Queen Victoria's principal throne room, where she received important visitors while seated on an impressive ivory throne. Today, in its place, rests a giltwood throne chair made for the coronation in 1953. Adjacent to the Waterloo Chamber, and where recipients will exit having received their award, is the immense and magnificent St George's Hall, created by Sir Geoffrey Wyatville for George IV. And despite the fire of 1992, which destroyed the ceiling, as well as damaging many other staterooms, the evidence of such a catastrophe is negligible due to the incredible repair and restoration effort by so many skilled craftsmen and women. Now carefully restored, the hall boasts a new roof constructed entirely of green oak, using medieval carpentry methods. Coats of arms of the Knights of the Garter adorn the ceilings, and their names are inscribed on panels around the walls. The hall, which measures 56 metres long and 9 metres wide, is also used for state banquets, held at the beginning of a state visit, with guests dining at a table seating up to 162 people. The rooms built for King Charles II and his wife Catherine of Braganza forms an impressive sequence of Baroque state apartments. They include the King's Drawing Room, where George IV's body lay in state in 1830, the King's Bedchamber, where Charles II reportedly met advisers to discuss affairs of the state, the Queen's Drawing Room, and also the King's Dining Room, which lies between the King's and Queen's apartments. Only a select number of investitures are held at Windsor Castle each year, and recipients and their guests are treated to a sumptuous display of art and indeed history as they carefully make their way through this majestic building. For most of those receiving an honour, this is probably the first and only time in their lives they will be received by the Queen in the Waterloo Chamber at Windsor Castle. The honours system and the concept of the investitures as we know it today is relatively new, given that the history of the monarchy spans over 1,000 years. Honours for chivalry have been around for centuries, but it was largely due to the Queen's grandfather, George V, who, in 1917, established the Order of the British Empire so that honours could be more widely given to deserving citizens from all walks of life, men and women, for their contribution to the war effort. With the ending of the First World War and the armistice in 1918, the King extended the range of recipients to include those from the world of science, the arts and literature, as well as the voluntary and charitable sectors. The investiture is a very special occasion, and each recipient will take away an impression of magnificent sights and sounds that will be long remembered and talked about. There is no doubt that investitures are stage managed with military precision. Each recipient must be in the right place at the right time, be briefed as to what to expect when reaching the dais, and what to do once the honour has been presented. The timing is well rehearsed and must be accurate for it all to begin at 11 o'clock. The Queen's Drawing Room, one of about 1,000 rooms in the castle, is just one of the many staterooms frequently used for receptions. During the 19th century, this room, then called the Picture Gallery, was densely hung with old masters. Today, some of the finest Tudor and Stuart royal portraits in the royal collection are hung here. While the room is readied and the props are set, there is time for new knights to get acquainted.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Can I just ask you to gather with your backs to the fireplace over there?
Their briefing is carried out by the Comptroller of the Lord Chamberlain's office, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Ford.
We're here in the King's Dining Room. The investiture will take place in the Waterloo Chamber. I think the best thing I can do is to sort of walk myself through the process that you'll be going through. And any questions you may have, I'll answer afterwards. And I'm going to start this by standing over there by those windows, as if I'm standing in a doorway looking into the Waterloo Chamber.